show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August 23rd, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, I guess today it's more like the news of the weekend, let's be honest, because there was so much going on with scrimmage Saturday that they held up at Dade North. And obviously there was some recruiting developments over the weekend, some good, some bad, and lots of coverage of opening night of high school football and things like that. So a lot's been going on since we last came to everybody on Good Morning CaneSport. So we'll touch on most of it here this morning. Let's start with the scrimmage. That's what's in the foremost in front of everybody's mind. The reports that came out from Manny Diaz were very complimentary of the defense. I personally think that was by design. I think the defense has been having a little bit of a tough time in practice lately. I think the offense is a lot to handle. They're very fast. They're very good. A lot of weapons. These young kids have come in, and they're doing a phenomenal job. The receivers, Arroyo is doing an incredible job at tight end. So you put it all together with De'Ara King playing at a high level, and it's been a lot for the defense to handle. And I think that Manny Diaz is probably a little concerned, and I'm sure he went into this scrimmage saying, I got to start building some confidence in my defense. And that's why everything that we heard coming out of it was defense, defense, defense.
Yeah, I mean, the defense definitely needed to get some confidence going, that's for sure. It's been a rough fall for them other than the first few practices. In fairness, the first scrimmage, Nestor Silvera and Bubba Bolden didn't play, which is almost 20% of your starting defense, and probably two of the best players, arguably probably the two best players returning, maybe even on the defense. So that can make a difference. Am I buying that this is a great defense? Absolutely not. But can it be an acceptable defense? Yeah, maybe, if things come together. We'll get more details today. We'll talk to Manny and Zach McLeod and Mike Harley, and we'll sort of see what's up. They're switching back to morning practices, so by early afternoon, tune back in, and we should have some more updates on what guys are actually saying about the scrimmage, since there wasn't that much news that Miami was allowing out after that scrimmage over the weekend initially. So my thoughts are, was it the first team defense stopping the first team offense? If that's the case, then I'm more optimistic than the more realistic. This was ones versus twos, ones versus threes, mix the threes and twos against the one defense, make the one defense feel good. So that's what we have to find out.
All right, so they had some sacks, but again, you don't know who they're having sacks against. If it's the first team defense, they're going against backup offensive linemen for the most part. So how big of a deal do you make of that? You really don't. You can't get too crazy on the tidbits that come out of these scrimmages. For example, we were told Corey Flagg had a great scrimmage, Keontra Smith. Hopefully they're making good progress, but we're not going to really find out where things stand with the front seven until they show up in Atlanta against Alabama, and we're going to get a real quick idea in that game, obviously. So, nice to hear that the scrimmage wasn't a disaster. The guys flashed. I know the young receivers continue to impress the coaches. Romello Brinson has taken a huge step forward here in the last few days. Jacoby George has been very good all through camp. So that's two freshman guys, true freshmen that are doing really, really well. And then, you add that to guys like Restrepo having a great camp. Keyshawn Smith is starting to step up. He had a big catch in the scrimmage on Saturday night. So you put it all together, and there's a lot to look forward to with these young players. That said, I think when you get to Atlanta, you're going to be counting on Charleston Rambo and Mike Harley quite a bit. I don't think you're going to see a lot of Romello Brinson out there in the Alabama game this year. It just doesn't make sense. So I think that, while the qualifier is that there's a lot of encouraging news coming out on the young kids, like I said, Arroyo, I'm hearing really great things about. that he's doing a great job in run blocking, believe it or not, as well as receiving. So he's the real deal. He's got a bright future ahead at Miami. So just little tidbits here and there. The quarterbacks apparently were very serviceable in the scrimmage. Their stats were decent. They were able to run the offense and just inspire confidence that if something did happen where Derek King had to come out of the game, that it wouldn't be a total disaster. We still do not know who the second team quarterback is going to be. There should be some clarity on that maybe in the next week or so. They're going to have to pick the number 2 for Alabama. Now, whether they say who it is, we won't know for sure. But we'll see how that goes. So all in all, that's what we've got right now on the scrimmage. Details are hard to come by on purpose. Everyone's pretty much instructed not to talk about it. So we got to do the best we can and probe for info here or there, and that's what we're hearing right now is what we just discussed. All right. Other stories on the website this morning are 15 impactful players in 15 days series continues this morning with number 4 Charleston Rambo, and we did number 5 Tyreek Stevenson over the weekend, number 4 Charleston Rambo this morning, and you might be asking, how does a transfer from Oklahoma land so high up on the list at this point before he's even done anything at Miami? It's because we know that Charleston Rambo is wide receiver number 1 this year, Matt. And, a guy that they're counting on to stabilize the passing game and make big plays. Last year, Lashley was able to spring Harley on defenses the second half of the season. Well, there was no scouting report on that. Miami hadn't done that before, and Lashley found a weapon in Mike Harley and was able to scheme things up. This year, people are going to be prepared for that, and they're going to need other guys to emerge. Keyshawn Smith is obviously a candidate, but Charleston Rambo, to me, has to be a guy they can count on every week.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I agree 100%. They're all 3 of those guys are speedsters. I do just sort of wish that, I don't know what the future is going to hold for viewing Miami practices. We had been able to watch a lot of practice previously, but now they're starting, we have an availability obviously today, but they're not letting us watch practice. And, the depth chart is going to be basically what the depth chart is going to be for Alabama. So I don't know if they're sort of trying to hide some surprises they have on the depth chart, or if they're going to let us actually watch practice at some point this week, or even next week, and sort of see what they have going on, even just depth chart wise.
I expect that ship to have sailed. I don't think there's going to be a lot of that right now. I think they're starting game planning for Alabama this week, and they're not going to want anybody seeing that. So
we're going to until then Wednesday of next week when they release the game notes. It won't play at the depth chart then.
Yeah. So, but we'll have a good idea. I think. I think we'll have a pretty good idea what's going on just from being able to talk to different people and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But getting back to Rambo, Rambo's got to be a guy. He's older. He's experienced. He's got the athletic ability. He has to be a guy that they can count on every week to make plays. And I think Lashley's going to go to him and go to him a lot. And obviously, we'll see how that goes. All right. I mentioned that Friday night was the start of the high school football season. We had an update on Jaleel Skinner over the weekend. Hope you guys saw that. Skinner's a guy, Miami's in a knockdown drag out there. It's not going to be an easy get for sure. You can go to Alabama, Florida State. He's going to announce in October 9th, it looks like. But it was good that he was passing through South Florida. We were able to send our new correspondent, Matthew Suero, who you guys will get to know a little bit. He'll be going out to different high school games during the season and bringing back reports on that and 7-on-7s down the road and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so he passed through town. We had an update on him, and we also had quite a bit of content on Ja'Cory Brown, who had a phenomenal game up in Atlanta on opening day, and you had extensive highlights from that and a couple stories. One that's already been on the website. We'll have another one here soon. So lots of coverage on Ja'Cory Brown. And then another guy that Miami's recruiting very hard that had just an amazing opening day. We bring you a story this morning on Jaylen Brown. He had 187 yards in Miami Gulliver's opener, 2023 receiver that the Hurricanes are recruiting very, very hard. So you'll be able to see that one. And let's see, there's also an update this morning on Valenta Cardwell, who, Matt, I think we should talk about this one a little bit. How much is there to be concerned about on that one? He's still talking to a lot of schools. Oregon is very hard after him. Florida, Michigan, among others. He's toying with the idea of taking official visits. Has not made that call yet. How much should we be concerned about him and the possibility of him taking these other trips?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting. It always comes back to what the school wants versus what the recruit wants. And, for him, he just started his recruitment in June. I mean, he didn't have any offers before June. Nobody knew about him before June. I went to some camps. He hadn't played varsity football before. He hadn't played since 9th grade. So for a kid like that, he knows he wants to be a Miami Hurricane. So he told Miami coaches, yeah, I'm coming to Miami. But at the same time, he feels like he doesn't know anything besides Miami. And he's worried, well, I know coaches change all the time. And this Garen Justice is a guy who I want to play for. What if he's not going to be there? So he wants to cover his bases. And he says he may wait till February to sign just to make sure. And he does want to take some visits. But, Manny Diaz's new thing is if you take visits, you're not committed. So, I don't know what happens here, because if he decides it's best for him to take visits, which it very well may be in his best interest, it's up to him to decide that. Does Manny Diaz drop him like he did to the last guy who tried to take visits? Does Manny Diaz say, go ahead and take visits? We know you're going to wind up here, because I think he certainly wants to be here. It's going to be, out of all the commits, this is the interesting one to watch, because the other guys have all been recruited for a while. They've seen the other programs. They've taken their visits. They know what everything else is, and they know they want Miami. This kid hasn't seen anything except for Miami. Miami, at this point, doesn't want him to see anything else because, when you commit, that's their rule. So maybe he shouldn't have committed so early. I don't know. But I guess he wanted to shore up his spot in the place he knew he wanted to be. I feel a little bad for the kid because, I'm not sure that he necessarily understood when he committed what Miami expected from him moving forward, that he will not talk to other programs, which he is, that he will not take other visits, which he is considering. I don't think he understood that completely.
Well, if you're these other schools recruiting him, you're feeding him the business constantly. You're saying, you better keep your options open. You don't know what's going to happen at Miami. If they have a bad season this year, Manny's going to be on the hot seat. You better be real careful about this early commitment to Miami. They'll plant those seeds, and Miami's going to have to fight that. And listen, the onus on this year is having a good season. If they don't have a good season this year, it's going to be very, very hard. I mean, they're already having a tough time with this recruiting class. Let's be honest. I mean, a lot of local kids are getting away, or look like they're going to get away. And they have to find a way to build momentum with out of town kids, and the way you're going to do that is through winning. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a tough matchup opening day. Nothing that anybody's going to want to overreact to, regardless of what happens, unless obviously the Canes pull the upset. But those next weeks come, after it, Appalachian State, Michigan State. It's going to be very, very important to start building, some good performances and momentum that keeps people excited about the program. All right, so and also another recruiting update this morning on 2023 wide receiver Hakeem Williams. You guys can check that one out. Later this morning, we'll have a lot of stuff from out at Green Tree. We've got several interviews. We'll be talking to Manny Diaz today, amongst several players, and we're told that even Mark Richt might, come see us and have a few comments along the way. He'll be in town for the ACC. Miami, I don't know if they're calling it a takeover or whatever tomorrow, but there'll be some Miami all access shows on ACC Network tomorrow night that I'm sure will be good watching. You guys might want to check those out. All right, so that's going to do it for today. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you for joining us once again on Good Morning CaneSport, and we'll see you next time, everybody.